This is the Etchr Lab 24 colour palette. It comes with a colour chart. It's actually printed on the paper that's in the Etchr sketchbooks, 100% cotton, 230 GSM paper. But I've rearranged the colours into a different order and actually written on each one so that I have all the information. And so that's how I'm going to paint them out. It's hard to see much of the white, but I've actually decided to put a black line through all of the charts because some of the opacity and transparency ratings are surprising. So I thought it would be interesting to have a look. This is lemon yellow made with PY3. It's a classic lemon in colour, so it makes sense for it to be named exactly that. Paints out very easily. This one's called Just Yellow. It's a cadmium yellow deep colour using the cadmium pigment. It's very rich, finely ground, and it's relatively opaque, as cadmium colours tend to be. It's a very surprising pigment to see in a student range because cadmiums are expensive. The next colour is soft orange. PO20 is another cadmium colour. This one is also very lovely to paint out and very finely ground. I'm just going to try it a bit thicker. To see if it is more opaque. Then we have a llama orange. This is PY150, which is normally a transparent yellow colour. I've never seen it as an orange. It's rated as a semi-opaque. Which it certainly appears to be. Simply Red is another cadmium pigment. Cadmiums are usually opaque. This one's rated as transparent. We'll see. I wouldn't call that transparent. It's much more of a cadmium colour, and it's opaque or semi-opaque, which is what I'd expect with a cadmium pigment. The next one is Rogue Red. This is an alizarin crimson alternative and takes a little bit more work to build the colour up, but it's a good rich crimson, but I would see it as very transparent. It's rated as semi-opaque. Sweet red looks very like a quinacridone rose red, but it's not made with PV19. It's made with PR123. Very rich rose colour, which would be great for mixing purples or using as a primary yellow. Pretty Pink is a magenta colour made with PV19. It looks very like a PR122 and will also mix beautiful purple colours. These are both rated as transparent, and they really are. They're barely able to colour the line at all. Royal Purple is PV23, which is the colour of dioxazine violet, or carbazole violet, a very well-known transparent staining purple pigment. Very rich. Next is ultramarine. I have to work a little bit harder to get a rich colour from this one, but it's a classic warm blue. Next is cobalt blue, and this is another surprising pigment to see in a student range because it's a very expensive pigment and a beautiful pigment, but here it is in the student range, PV28. Prussian blue is a slightly neutralised cool blue made with PV27. Sky blue is a phthalo blue green shade pigment, but it doesn't have the depth that it often does. This is much lighter and brighter than phthalo blue often is, so it'll make it a bit less scary as a student colour. A lot of people are a bit afraid of phthalo blue. It's rated as opaque, but this pigment is never really opaque, it's more transparent, and here it's not really covering the line. If I go quite thick, it still won't really cover the line. Ocean turquoise, I suspect, is a mistake. It doesn't look as though it has PY101 and PB17 in it. It looks like a PG7, so I'm not sure that this was meant to be the colour here. Emerald green is PG7. So that's the colour we know best as phthalo green, a fantastic mixing green. Leaf green is made with PG17, which is very rarely a very strong pigment. This is one that's a little more difficult to get the colour to activate. The others have all been very easy. So this one might require a bit of pre-wetting. Lime green, on the other hand, activates immediately, creating a striking bright green. Greens can always be dulled down with a touch of red or even an earth colour if they're too bright. Mighty Ochre is a yellow ochre colour made with PY42. It says it's opaque, and it certainly behaves in an opaque manner. It will cover the line. Umber brown is, to my mind, a burnt sienna. This is a neutralised orange, which would do the place of a burnt sienna. And it's made with PR101 and PBR7. Burnt siennas are often made with either PR101 or PBR7. This one's made with a mixture of it, so it makes it a brownish burnt orange, and it's very transparent. Brick brown is more of an Indian red or Venetian red. It is a useful colour in the palette because of the earth red kind of hue. It says it's opaque, but it's a little bit more gentle than this pigment often is. Quite well behaved for a PR101, but not as red as some would be. The next one is called burnt sienna, but it is more like a burnt umber, just as the brown umber was more like a burnt sienna. And this one is hard to get a lot of colour. With a bit of pre-wetting, eventually it does load up, but not as easily as the others. Dark brown is a mixture of the PBK7 and a PBR7, so a black and a brown. So a sepia colour. And soulless black is single black pigment. It's quite a cool black, has a sort of lean to the blue side. I'm now going to go over each one with a really rich, creamy mixture. Just to see how opaque they go. It certainly isn't transparent. It's quite opaque in strength.